Regardless of your industry, it's become so easy in today's society to literally beat 90% of people by simply doing one or two things, and then the other 9% by doing an additional one or two things. You don't even have to be good at what you're doing. You just have to do what we're going to talk about today, and you'll show up and you'll absolutely crush your competition. So grab your notepad. This is going to be a really good episode. We're going to break down how to beat your competition, how to make it so easy that you simply show up and get all the market share in your area by doing what we're going to talk about. All right, welcome to week 3 here in June. We're almost done. Excited about next week's episode. You're definitely going to not want to miss that. We're going to do an audit on your business. But today, we're going to talk about how you can outwork 99% of your competition, regardless of your industry. It's become so easy in today's society to literally beat 90% of people by simply doing one or two things, and then the other 9% by doing an additional one or two things. You don't even have to be good at what you're doing. You just have to do what we're going to talk about today, and you'll show up and you'll absolutely crush your competition. So grab your notepad. This is going to be a really good episode. We're going to break down how to beat your competition, how to make it so easy that you simply show up and get all the market share in your area by doing what we're going to talk about. Before we do that, and before we get rocking and rolling, make sure you go back and watch the previous 2 episodes. We talked about some incredible things. If I could restart my sales career, what would I tell myself? What universal principles have I learned over the past 15 years? And what am I coaching the top realtors all over Canada, the US right now? Go watch that episode. There's 10 of them. Make sure you didn't miss a single one. And then the first week, we talked about something that a lot of realtors are struggling with right now. A lot of you have boats that you haven't burned. You've got strings attached to multiple plan Bs, and we've got to cut the cord. You've got to learn how to go all in. So don't miss those. Today will make more sense, and then we'll finish out next week to wrap up this month. All right, so there's 3 principles that we're going to talk about that'll help you beat 99% of the competition. In my opinion, it's become so easy in today's society to win because the barrier to entry has never been easier. These 3 things will help you completely shatter your competition. Make sure you catch all 3 of them. All right, so the first one has to do with 2 principles that I've learned from Alex Hormozi that he repeats often in all of his content. And if you've watched mine, you realize that I repeat it as well because I see it all the time with salespeople and realtors, no matter the market. These 2 principles that he talks about will help you show up and beat 99% of your competition. The first one has to do with this quote. My father used to tell me, a focused fool can accomplish more than a distracted genius. So your most valuable asset isn't your time, it's your attention. A man with time and distractions will always lose to a man with a deadline and a singular focus. It's never been easier to be successful than it is today. It's just always been easier to be distracted. And so how do you beat 99% of your competition? You get rid of your distractions and you simply have better attention to detail. So right now on your piece of paper, list out your 5 things that are distracting you, that are pulling your attention away from the job at hand, from accomplishing the task that's in front of you so that you can go build your empire and hit all your goals along the way. That's it. It's really just who can eliminate distractions. That's the first piece of it. You'll simply outwork your competition because the attention span nowadays, because of social media, is so small that people get distracted from TikTok and Instagram and notifications and emails, and they forgot that you can simply turn off all of that and focus. If you were to sit down, put headphones on, dim the lights, put the curtains up, turn off your phone, and just work for 20 hours, you would do 2 months worth of work in that span of time, and everybody else would be way behind you. You can simply accelerate your progress. You can put your foot on the gas by simply just paying attention and getting the jobs done and not getting distracted. The second quote that I love that he talks about all the time on this is he says, stop trying to get rich, get better. And if you get better, getting rich will happen as a consequence. Getting rich is an outcome. Getting better is an input. Most entrepreneurs are focused on the output as the thing. And so they're scattered in terms of where their focus is because they're just trying to do everything they can to drive the number up rather than trying to do the thing that creates the wealth. So the second part of it is to focus on the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle. Focus on the 4 to 5 things that if you do those compounded over time, you'll get the results you're looking for. Detach yourself from the results. Everybody wants to get rich quick. Everybody wants to get into real estate and do deals. Everybody wants to get into sales and make these big commission checks. But those that are absolutely crushing it and they've done it for a long time, that's not how they think. They come into the industry and they think, okay, what do I need to do every day? And then I'll compound that for the rest of time and I'll detach myself from the outcome. If I told you that you simply had to role play twice a day, study your skills for 45 minutes a day, have a nightly routine and a morning routine, and then prospect for 4 hours, and that's it, compounded over time, you would be better than 99% of realtors in your market because nobody can be consistent to save their lives. The idea of compound interest has completely died in our society. Being able to stick to something forever, regardless of the outcome, is what will help you completely dominate and crush your competition. All right, principle number 2, in order to crush your competition, is the rule of 100. Now, if you follow Jesse Itzler, he talks about this all the time, and I love that he talks about this. This also comes from the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. You've probably heard the rule of 10,000 hours, where in order to become world-class, the best of the best at something, you need 10,000 hours of repetitions in that skill. Well, there's also the rule of 100, and the rule of 100 states that if I'm to do something 18 minutes a day, that's it, 100 hours. So for 1 year, 18 minutes a day at anything, I would be better than 95% of everybody else in that industry at that one thing. So think about real estate. Think about role playing. Let's say there's 1,000 realtors in a room. There's probably 40 of them that role play, and there's probably 10 of them that do it twice or 3 times a day, compounded over time. So simply to be better than 995 or 990 other realtors, all I got to do is role play twice a day, write out my scripts, practice in front of the mirror. Holy smokes, I just basically skipped and cut the line from the back all the way to the front simply by compounding something over time. And it's not that complicated. It's 18 minutes a day for 100 hours, and that'll allow you to completely skyrocket your success. Don't overcomplicate this. Simplify down to the ridiculousness. The most complex plans and the most detailed-oriented strategies are usually the ones that fail because you get stuck in decision paralysis and everything's got to be perfect. Just do. And do the 2 to 3 things that will help you compound your skill set over time. All right, principle number 3. We talked about this the first episode of the month of how to stop wasting time and to develop a burning cause. If you can develop a burning cause, you'll outlast your competition because the easiest things derail them and throw them off. A deal explodes, it doesn't close. Something happens with a realtor or a listing of theirs, and it shakes them to the core and they're gone for multiple days. Well, one of the coolest examples of this is Michael Phelps. When Michael Phelps had his run in the Olympics, he talked about how he realized if he were to take a day off from swimming, it would take 4 days to come back and get in the groove that he had before. So he simply took no days off for, I think, 4 or 5 years. And those no days off compounded over time where nobody could catch him. And it's the same thing with developing your holy cause. If you have that burning inside of you, that desire for something that you're chasing, then it won't matter what happens. You'll show up regardless because you have something bigger, more meaningful that you're chasing. Last month, we read Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, and he talks about this. He calls it the golden circle. And a lot of times we focus so much on what we're doing, how we're doing it, and then why we're doing it, where you need to completely flip that around. Why are you doing this? And then how are you going to do it? And what are you going to do in order to get there? If you can do that, then it doesn't matter the storms that come. You'll be calm, collected, and you'll be consistent. You'll show up day in and day out when most realtors or most salespeople get derailed. And then it takes them multiple days to get focused. That's why multitasking has been disproven as effective. It's very hard for your brain to focus on two tasks at the same time because you can't give your full attention to one or the other. Biblically speaking, man can't serve God and mammon. You're going to serve the one or hate the other. It's one or the other. As simple as that. If I were to have you do a task right now and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then do the same with the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now, if I were to ask you to combine the two, so 1A, 2B, 3C, 4D, and go all the way through, you're naturally, just like me, going to go a little bit slower. Your brain has to put so much energy on it. So don't do that. Don't overcomplicate it. Have a burning cause that literally fuels the fire inside of you to stay focused so that you're not getting distracted every 12 seconds or thrown off because a storm comes or something happened and you're not used to it. The only guarantee in the entrepreneurial journey is that you're constantly going to have change. And the quicker that you realize that, the easier it will be to beat your competition because they haven't come to understand or really internalize that principle or accept it. Let's end it with this quote from Alex Ramosi, where he talks about, I get happier the harder it is because most people aren't going to want to do that thing. So you should change your paradigm and look at this industry and be excited because it's seriously that simple. All you have to do is the three things that we talked about today. You have to eliminate distractions, learn to stay focused on the task at hand, develop a burning cause, have something inside of you that burns constantly that no storm can put out. And then also get behind the idea of compound interest, the rule of 100, and the law of 10,000 hours. If you can detach yourself from the outcome and compound your skill set over time, you'll be better than 99% of the competition in your market. All right, let's wrap up this episode. Look at your notes. How are you going to beat the competition in your market? How are you going to get better and outlast them? Drop it in the comments. Super excited to see what you guys have to say. Now, next week, remember, you're not going to want to miss this. You have to do an audit. You have to pivot and you have to make sure that your business is on track because how you end one quarter, how you end one half of the year is how you're going to start the next. You do not want to start the second half of this year on a downward spiral. Start with an uphill trajectory. Put yourself in the position to win. And you do that by making sure that you have all the habits in place. And we'll talk about that in next week's episode.